Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S here, back here with another video. Hope everyone's well wherever you are. This is obviously part two, my dreams for unifying Asia, I suppose, and making or creating an Asian alliance, which I hope will benefit Asian nations and Asian individuals. Um, as ever, please post up any comments you have in this below. Anything you want to comment in the comments below is welcome. So these are ideas, pointers, thoughts, whatever you call it. Number 11, I was say 21, 11 to 20. And if you have any of your own, please let me know. So here goes. So basically, this is what I want the Asian Alliance to work on and do to benefit Asians, and what I think would benefit Asian nations like unity, working together, building things, not destroying things. I think, and that kind of thing. So, anyway, here goes. So, number 11, I would love to support Asian industries, businesses, nations like Malaysia and India, Indonesia, Singapore, and those sorts of places to sell. All of Asia really, to sell their items and things like that. Going on alliteration, I think of like Indian items and things like that. But all those nations sell their products, items, goods, services, and whatnot. All around the world. So basically promote Indian industry or Asian industry generally even. So Asian enterprises and that kind of thing, businesses, enterprises, or whatever you call them, and to benefit Asian projects. And one of the things I wanted to ask, I should post this as I forgot to mention it in the videos where I talked about Asia and Africa trading together. Um, is do you think that I'd love to know what people think? Do you think that India should use the IIT, Indian Institute of Technology, to train people in Africa to make their own version, so the AIT all across Africa, in as many African countries as possible, in return for Africans buying Indian items, so hopefully towards a mutual benefit. So India could use that as part of their trade deals, and also Africans could go to India, and vice versa. Indians could go to Africa to train people in technology. I know there are many Africans already who are good at tech, but to help African countries even more, in return for trade deals, which I hope will be a mutual benefit. And other Asian nations could do similar. I think they already kind of do, but could they do that to a further extent? And could India make use of its IIT centres for training Africans in tech, which I hope, as someone who hopes to see Africa do as well as possible, maybe even dominate tech themselves as soon as possible in the future. Um, and as soon as possible. And also, could India and again other Asian nations could do similar and follow suit? But could they utilize the hashtag make in India, or make it in India? I think it's officially called Make in India, which looks at Indian manufacturing. Could they and selling Indian products and things like that? Could they do that to help African countries? And again, in return for Africans learning from them, but also buying Indian items in return, say thank you for teaching us those sort of things. I'd love to know what you think about that. I know it's a bit of a controversial idea in a way, because some people might say, are you saying that Africans are backwards and need help from India and other Asian nations? And that's not really what I'm saying, but it might come across that way. And I know they can benefit each other, so it could be a mutual benefit. But I'd love to know what you think about the hashtag Make in India, Made in India brand and things like that, and the IIT sort of industry. Could they teach Africans, and would that be a good deal? And I suppose nations like China and Japan could do similar. Like for instance, with Japan and Korea, they're very good at tech. But could Japan teach Africans about game making? And again, in return, they could have trade deals. I hope to post that if and when I get the energy and remember to do so, in the video I made about Africa and Asia trading together, maybe in part 4 of that. I hope to type up that idea as well. Anyway, moving on. One more question I want to ask before I move on to point number 12 is, what do you think are some of the best ways to promote Indian and Asian items, enterprises, businesses, projects, and things like that, helping YouTubers, TikTokers, and all that kind of thing from Asia? And what do you think are the best ways to benefit Asian economies? I might ask that question a few times. But anyway, moving on, number 12. I'd love for Asians to talk about what makes them proud to be Asian and what they're proud of each other, and from their own countries. So people from Korea, Japan, and India and China and the rest of Asia talk about what makes them proud to be Asian, but also from their own personal countries, but also Asian more generally. And I love for Asian nations to have each other's back a lot more. Um, into a bit tired now, but in terms of, I normally sleep around this time. I normally have my cat nap, but I was a bit late making this video. But anywho, in terms of I'd love to see Asian nations be more proud of each other and have each other's backs, so they know they can trust each other and not compete against each other, but really be proud for the Asian nations. So if China does well, I'd love to see Indians be proud of China doing well, and vice versa. Obviously, if India does well, I'd love to see Chinese people and the Chinese government and people in China generally, the population, politicians, and everyone in China, as much or as many of them as possible, at least being proud of India's success stories and vice versa. So they could be like things that have been made in Asia generally, and that kind of thing. So yeah, things that Asia can be proud of, what's been made in Asia, Asian projects generally, and enterprises and that kind of thing. I use enterprise for business. I use these terms interchangeably, like business, enterprise, business person, businessman, businesswoman, entrepreneur, whatever. So they probably don't really mean the same thing, but I use them as the same sort of thing. Basically, people who sell things, buy and sell, and trade and that kind of thing. But again, even supporting each other's YouTubers, TikTokers, and other such projects, like supporting T Series and even Chinese, China's biggest TikTokers and YouTubers and things like that. I think it'd be cool if other Asians like Indians support them. And before I move on to the next point, I was going to say in the intro, or at least in point number 11, can't remember which one, but yeah, having memory problems or disorganization sucks sometimes. But anyway, sorry. I forgot what I was going to say again. With the Pan Asian sort of network, which I hope to make the Asian Network or Pan Asian Alliance or whatever it could be called, whatever it could come to be called, I would love for them to be mainly hosted in Central Asia, symbolically, just like I said with Africa and the African Union. I would love for them to have buildings and centres and whatnot in Central Africa, especially the country Central Africa. In that case, maybe there could even be a country called Central Asia in the future, but I would love for it to be hosted in Central Asia symbolically, so across Central Asian nations, mainly so that they can host events which bring Asian politicians and diplomats, business people and whatnot together to discuss what they want to see for Asia to accomplish and achieve, and again being proud of each other's achievements, preventing divisions and things like that, just as I would like to see again with Africa. Although, as I say, for April, May and June, I hope to focus as much as I can on Asia solely. Number 13, what are some of the negative things about Asia as well? I know I want to focus mainly on positives, but as I'm saying, to address some of the negatives, I think helps you to be more tackle them. As I say, in Alcoholics Anonymous, apparently, believe it or not, I never drank alcohol, as I said before. But well, I tried it when I was young, but I never really got into it. But anyway, as they say, admit you have a problem. And so I think Asian nations look at what negatives they have, like division or sometimes maybe arrogance or whatever it might be. I know I said about being proud of each other, proud of their achievements and things like that, but how do they do that in a non-arrogant way? Number 14, as I say, what are some of the problems to solve and how do they solve those problems? And as I often say, once again, I think that working together means you can achieve a lot more and tackle those problems. I think that being united would mean, again, that they can build things rather than destroy things, and it'll be a lot better, in my opinion. Number 15, I'd love to read from and hear from Asian individuals about what their ambitions are, especially those from Asia, but also all around the world, and what they hope to see Asia achieve, and also what they hope to achieve in their own personal lives. Number 16, once again, I'd love to know what are the best ways to empower Asians, especially in Asia itself. For instance, how could the diaspora get involved? On that note, they could host events, for instance, which invite people from the diaspora, such as YouTubers, TikTokers, writers, poets, artists, business people, and all sorts of people from the Asian diaspora. So let's say NRAs, non-resident Asians, i.e. those of Asian descent who don't live in Asia, or those who have left Asia, and they could talk about how to make Asia better, prevent brain drains, and that kind of thing, improve the quality of life, the economics, and also the general quality of life in and across Asia. So I hope there'll be committees and think tanks. I suppose the Asian Alliance itself would be a committee, think tank, or whatever you want to call it, brainstorm or whatnot, which would look at the best ways to benefit Asia, how to unite them, and things like that. Number 17. Part of me does doubt my own. I suppose I could have included that in point number 13. I thought, just like when I make YouTube videos, and you probably tell I get a bit nervous, stumbling on my words, or wonder whether people will enjoy what I say, or repeat myself too much, or whatnot. But part of me does have my doubts, but I would love to use my imagination. Hopefully, these ideas will come to fruition and work out a lot better than I thought. So again, I hope to build trust between different Asian nations and look at how they can be proud of each other, how they can have each other's backs, prevent wars, and help each other to trade with each other and learn from each other and learn about each other and that kind of thing, and hopefully build mutual love and trust, especially love for each other and that kind of thing. I suppose love requires trust. I'm getting a bit corny, I know, but anyway, moving on. Number 18. Once again, I think it'd be cool if they could look at what makes them proud to be Asian, what makes them proud of each other, and be proud of each other's success stories, let's say China's, India's, Korea's, Japan's, and the rest of Asia's success stories, even Pakistan, and I'd say the rest of Asia, Central Asia, and Asia from north, south, east, west, and basically all Asian nations. I forget how many nations there are in Asia, and that kind of thing. I think the population of Asia is about 4 billion or so. But yeah, I'd love for them to look at what they're proud of about each other and what makes them proud of each other and that kind of thing. And yes, but not in an arrogant way, but in a proud way. Number 19. Once again, I'd love to see how Asian nations like India, China, Japan, and others could help African nations in terms of like software development. Again, taking the IIT, the Indian Institute of Tech, which has produced some great success stories, like I think Satya Nadella of Microsoft, CEO of Microsoft, and Sundar Pichai, or however you pronounce his name, the CEO of Google, and people like that, and many other CEOs and success stories like Infosys and whatnot. What they've achieved, it would be great to see African countries achieve that. So I'd love to see Asian nations, when they do the trade deals with African countries, in return for maybe Africans buying more from Asian nations, like buying from their businesses and whatnot. I think it'd be cool if the IIT and others helped to make like the African Institute of Technology, AIT, and other things like that, which could help them hopefully in the future. And number 20, also, I'd love for Asian nations to, again, I should have included this in my videos, for an Asian partnership with Africa, as I say, or the Asian partnerships with African nations. But I love for Asian nations to help African nations in terms of training and education for STEM generally, and especially tech, but even STEM generally. Like, for instance, in the medical field, they can work together on curing illnesses, they can learn from each other, and look at how to increase investment. And the Asian Development Bank and the African Development Bank and whatnot could look at organizations like them, could look at how to invest in the training of Asian and African scientists, medical professionals, technologists, or engineers, designers, entrepreneurs, and mathematicians, and so on and so forth. And as ever, I'd love to know what you think. Sorry, the video's a bit longer than I planned, as ever. I'm probably just going to go for a nap for a while. But anyway, peace and love.